Thank you again for joining us for another episode of African Youth Time Show. For those who don't know, on the 25th of May was African Union Day. And that day inspired the topic of tonight. We are going to be talking about a topic that says, is Pan-Africanism still a solution for Africa? Now, before I proceed, I am your presenter of tonight, and my name is Sangwa Piedurchis. As you guys know, I'm not alone on the presentation. Allow me to welcome my co-host, Mr. Melwin. Melwin, how are you?
I'm fine, Sangwa. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great by the grace of God. We thank God. How are you?
I'm fine by the grace of God.
So, Melwin, before I give you the time to present the guest of tonight, I'd like first to call upon all the corporations who would like to partner with us or collaborate with us that the doors are wide open. And I also like to encourage all the university students who want to present their schools or their universities on this show, that the doors are also open for them. You are welcome. So, Melwin, the time is yours. Can you please present us the guest of tonight?
Yeah, so tonight on Africa Youth Time, we are discussing one topic concerning Africa in general. And tonight we are pleased to meet with two young people from two different universities, and they respond to the name of Mr. Hassan Abangahani, who is the first guild president at UNILAC and president of Africa Youth Time Club, and Mr. Thomas Nyaha, who is a student at the University of Tourism, Technology and Business Studies, UTB. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me hope that you guys are doing great.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you excited about tonight's topic?
Exactly.
Thank you very much. So without further ado, I want to ask you my first question.
Okay.
What do you guys, when you hear Pan-Africanism, what do you hear?
Okay, so for me, the word Pan-Africanism is actually means bringing African nations together to be able to embrace their culture, their homes, and themselves. Because African can only unite African. Yeah. So that's the reason the Pan-Africanism came about, to unite and to see how best they can be able to take Africans from colonial rules during those days when it comes to the colonial period to in the 1960s and all the stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Hassan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Thomas. It's a great opinion. Well, as Thomas has said, Pan-Africanism was supposed to be, as he said, like bringing Africa together, the unity and all. But nowadays, Pan-Africanism is something of more theoretical than it is practical. So it's mainly based on its speeches, preaching unity, but never taking action, by the way.
Oh.
So
Interesting.
yeah, for real. Because let us just see, even myself, I didn't introduce like myself. I'm also the commissioner of foreign affairs in the Pan-African Movement Club in UNILAC. So I've seen, like, I go around like few. By the way, we talk of unity, but never taking action.
Okay.
The fact is, we also, it's somehow people are misconceiving the Pan-Africanism concept. They think of it something of revolutionary, but it's not a revolution. It's something that we need to strengthen ourselves within ourselves, like amongst ourselves. It's not like cutting all the bridges along, like all around us. Yeah.
So is that what Pan-Africanism means to you?
Like it means aligning this preaching of unity with the actions, though.
So in today's society, what does Pan-Africanism mean?
As I've said, like it means simply speeches, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Today's like, yes, people are preaching Pan-Africanism.
Okay, so like,
So let me just give
okay. Like you guys, you mentioned about unity of Africa, like Africa has to embrace their tradition, their cultures. Is there any, I don't know, economical aspect of Pan-Africanism, actually.
Yeah. So that's the point I was trying to talk about. So Pan-Africanism is actually meant to enable Africans to have control of what they have within their country when it comes to trading. All right. So intra-African trade is like 15 to 18%. It is lower than that of the European. So Africans prefer to trade with Europeans, the Americans, than they're trading with Africans. Yeah, so economically, Pan-Africanism is there to be able to stabilize the trade within Africa in terms of bringing business to Africa, promoting African culture, promoting African own. That's one of the key reasons Pan-Africanism was being established. Yeah, for me, that's how I understand Pan-Africanism to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think he just answered what he just said, economically.
Okay, economically, that has to do with African trading with African. Increasing African economically in terms of probably resources being produced within Africa, they're taking it from Africa to the Western world. If that happens in Africa, that is Africa economy going to be is definitely going to boost, and there will be more investments within Africa than having to go for manufactured products, like for example, the crude oil that has been taken from Africa, carrying to the Western world. If that can be produced here in Africa, it's going to help to improve the economic stability of Africa. Then Africans going to purchase manufactured products from Europe, Americas, and other stuff to bring it here within Africa.
Okay, Mr. Hassan, what do you think?
Yeah, as you said, is somehow correct. So the economic aspect of Pan-Africanism is like to promote African brands. So instead of just mainly focus on the trade with foreign powers, so better amongst ourselves, we produce ourselves. Like we even free the trade among ourselves. We lift some barriers that prevents us from deepen our economic relations. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Hassan,
Yeah.
building up on the thing that you just said, saying that you think that Pan-Africanism is just words, but not
Nowadays.
action. I want to ask you, do you think that Pan-Africanism has failed Africans, or we Africans are the one who are failing this movement of Pan-Africanism?
By the way, Pan-Africanism has never failed Africa. The idea is still like firmly strong and maintained. And the only thing that we are failing in is like our commitment. We are not like committed enough to just let Pan-Africanism succeed. So as we just talk without taking actions, if you say nowadays we mostly focus on our like national interests than Africa. That's the main thing that prevents Pan-Africanism to be more successful than it is.
So you think that it's more on the internal side than it's practiced on the outside?
Yeah.
So
It's- It's somehow like let's suppose if I'm a leader of Chad somewhere like in Chad. So instead of focusing like in general in Africa, like in Africa for Africa in general to move forward, we focus only on our like national interests. And as long as this we are still on those national interests, Pan-Africanism like will like be always like held back.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, what do you think?
Yeah, Pan-Africanism have not failed. The idea is still there, but the unfortunate thing is that our leaders, they go to the various summits, they made those late speeches, but very poor in implementation, like Makomi was saying. So if implementation is being met, what African leaders says they do, definitely Pan-Africanism will keep growing and Africans will be able to enjoy what they have. So we don't have to keep making those beautiful speeches, going to all of the summits, the AU summit, ECOWAS summit, they are in the end, those speeches are not being implemented.
Okay. And this led actually to the next question I'm going to ask you. Like, what factors, what are the problematic that prevent Pan-Africanism to succeed actually in Africa today? What are the characteristic or the problems that prevent that prevent Pan-Africanism to be implemented in Africa?
Well, what prevents Pan-Africanism to be implemented in Africa, is somehow we are not lacking the knowledge of what we are supposed to do. We know exactly what we are supposed to do, but as I've said lately, the implementation part is lacking, and the other, we have more mainly focused to be to resemble the foreign powers than to be truly ourselves. Mm-hmm. And this is what prevents Pan-Africanism to be really what it is supposed to be.
Mr. Hassan,
yeah.
if I may ask, you said we know exactly what we have to do.
Yeah.
It means you know it. What do we have to do?
It's simply we need instead of preaching unity, we need to implement unity. Implement unity. I'm an African. If I want to, if you are united, united. We don't need to have authorization, somehow a visa to move through borders. We are Africans, so let's maintain that unity of Africans. If I want to do trade with a neighboring country, let's suppose your neighbor nowadays, you need to pay taxes to bring to make trade, that. It's mainly different from what locals pay. It's differently from those local, whereas you're all Africans. Mm-hmm. So the thing is simple: implement this unity, lifting some barriers, yes. And yeah, that's all.
But without, I'm not trying to sound like, what you guys are saying is not true, but I'm trying to understand something really well. You keep on saying that the government implements things, they say things, they gather up, and make these meetings, these unions, but they don't really put in the action.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give you guys an example, right? Our country, Rwanda, right, has removed a lot of visas for many of these, for the other African nations. Coming here, you are allowed to come in here without a visa for as long as you are part of the African continent. So if our country is doing it, what makes you say that implementation is not being done? Is it because it's not everywhere else that they're doing it? Other countries also are doing it. It's not just my country. Other countries are doing it too. So what do you mean when you say that these actions are not being implemented?
The thing here is that, as you said, other countries are doing it. Rwanda has been doing it, it's been a while, and the problem is that even if some are doing it, the most of the countries are not doing it. So even if those small this small number of countries are implementing, and yet those big number are not implementing, it's somehow throwing a needle
so it's useless
in the sea. As long as all of us who don't come up with something all together, is somehow, if I can say it, is not leading to the success of Pan-Africanism.
Okay. Mr. Thomas.
Okay, so to give my input on the question that my brother asked, you were talking about the visa policies, right? Mm. Yeah, that's another factors that have been the causes of Pan-Africanism not functioning the way we want it to be. So another point could be political instability that have to do with the civil unrest within African countries, Africans telling African to leave their African country. All those things are factors that have been stopping Pan-Africanism from taking place. So if that can be implemented or that can be put in place, Africans embracing Africans within our own country, I think Pan-Africanism will live and it will be able to meet at its goals. Mm-hmm. So African cannot tell African to leave their country while they know that you are African. So for the visa policies, it is something that actually going to boost the entire economic system within Africa. What do I mean? Like recently, Ghana also gave the free interest to every African bearing African passport. Burkina Faso or Togo, all these countries are doing it. So if the 54 African countries can do the same, I think Pan-Africanism will be something that we are going to enjoy and going to benefit a lot.
But I want you guys to give me an example of a country that is really not being participative, in this unity. You kept on saying that a lot of these nations are not really putting in the work, By the same time, you just gave me examples of nations that are putting in the work.
So do you want us to give you example of Africans who are not?
When you say that these countries are not being collaborative, what do you mean? Who are these nations?
It's not like when you say most of the African countries are not collaborative. You're not saying that they're not collaborative, but they have some restriction that prevent African them to just come into their countries. Like maybe to move through the borders, you need this authorization. There are many things process to go through just to go to the other country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we are talking about inside.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
If I may ask something, a question just came up to my mind. When we talk about Pan-Africanism, are we talking about sub-Saharan Pan-Africanism or the whole continent? Because there are Tunisian, Moroccan. Are they among Pan-Africanism?
When we say Pan-Africanism, we are talking of Africa as a whole.
We
are not leaving any country behind or any region behind. All of us as a whole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you think those countries from outside Africa, they are participating actively in Pan-Africanism, like us, sub-Saharan part of the continent?
Can you come again, outside Africa?
No. Like Tunisia, Morocco,
Egypt.
Do you think they're participating like us? We are involved in Pan-Africanism?
Not really, but they would say also they are participating in their own way in Pan-Africanism. For us, we are, and by the way, I would also judge the way of doing things, the best way of doing Pan-Africanism. Because for us, when our leaders preach Pan-Africanism, they always want to cut those bridges around us, those relationships with this country. But for those sub-Saharan that you're talking about, they always instead of cutting those bridges, they install rather healthy relationships with their partners instead.
Okay, thank you very much. So before we proceed, I want us first to go to the section of African youth around the world. This is where we see the videos of people who like to participate in our show. They give their opinions through sharing the videos. So right now we're going to see the video of Mr. Gatabazi Davis. Mr. Gatabazi Davis is the Youth Commissioner in Pan-African Movement in Movement Rwandan Chapter. And Mr. Abdullahi Mahaman Mumuni from Ghana. Please, if those videos are ready, can we please watch them?
Good morning, good evening. My name is Davis, and I'm the Youth Commissioner from Pan-African Movement. So today I'm very happy to share with you what I think about what Africa has to do in regards to whatever that is happening around the world, but more especially on the African continent, whereby I think it is very important for Africa to look into how to ease of doing business, more especially when it comes to removing of trade barriers, whereby we need free movement of people, free movement of commodities, and that goes with security as well. So we cannot achieve Agenda 2063 when we don't have the potential to trade between each other, have strong rule of law. We have to abide by and respect, the trade agreements that have been there. So for us to fight poverty, and in this case, youth, addressing issues of youth unemployment, we need to work very hard in order to see how we remove all these bottlenecks to make it easy for trade and also the mobility of people. So for me, my take is that. Thank you.
Bonjour, je suis Abdoulaye Mahaman. Je m'en vais alors me prononcer sur le sujet du débat qui est-ce que le panafricanisme est-il toujours une solution pour l'Afrique? Pour ma part, je dirais la compréhension primo de ce problématique révèle de la connaissance du mot panafricanisme suivi des problèmes auxquels a toujours fait face l'Afrique. Parce que le panafricanisme, selon son essence, est né comme une solution aux problèmes de l'Afrique. Pour en dire que le panafricanisme est né d'un contrat, les pays africains étant divisés politiquement et économiquement ont des difficultés à défendre leurs intérêts face aux multinationales et aux grandes puissances. Les figures comme Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah voyaient tôt une unité africaine comme un moyen de renforcer la souveraineté du continent, développer une économie indépendante, valoriser nos cultures, favoriser une coopération sécuritaire et scientifique. Alors aujourd'hui, beaucoup de réalités donnent du poids à cette idée. Les défis sécuritaires dépassent les frontières. Beaucoup de nos matières premières sont exportées sans transformation locale. La jeunesse peine à avoir une vision commune, voire un avenir plus autonome. Alors des initiatives comme la ZLICAF, l'Union africaine, montrent l'existence d'une intégration africaine.
That was interesting. So,
you can go ahead and translate for the French video.
Yeah, Mr. Muhammad was basically saying, he was talking about, the existence of Pan-Africanism, how the concept came into place, but he didn't raise any question. He said that we, as African, we tend to actually have some problems to defend our priorities, and this is when we started to have some organization like African Union, so that we can come together and face the economic and also cultural challenge that we have with people from outside of the continent. And yeah, that was basically it actually. Nothing else. He didn't raise any question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Melwin. So proceeding from that video from Mr. Abdoulaye Mahaman, I want to ask you guys, do you guys think that as Africans we should stop or diminish our reliance, our reliability on the European countries or the Western countries? Do you guys think that we should as Africans, we should focus on what we are doing and stop relying on the European nations?
Yes, for me, I'm going to say yes. Why? Because we Africans, we have whatever it takes to develop Africa, right? When it comes to resources, we have. So, let's take for example, the president of Botswana, President Buku, when he was asked to come to the White House that had to do with the US, to come and discuss business. He was bold and told Donald Trump that if he wants to discuss business, he should come to Botswana. If something like that can keep happening with African leaders, I think Africa will have whatever it takes to be able to produce what they want. We don't have to keep relying on the European, the Americans at all times. We have whatever it takes for us to develop our homes, to build infrastructure that we want, and to do things that we want to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan.
Thank you for your opinion, brother. But I have a bit different opinion of yours as well. Yeah, indeed, we African, as African, we have all the tools, like all the necessary things to rely on ourselves. But as an economist, I would also say there is no nation that can just be totally independent from others. We are all like interdependence, like we depend on them, they depend on us. So the only solution is what? Is to like strengthen our position instead of being the weakest of the balance. So we need just to balance the scale instead of just saying not to be independent, like not to be dependent on other countries. So as even the Europeans, they may depend on us, we depend on them. The American, even nowadays, Americans depend on Europeans depend on Americans. So in this globalized world, we cannot say that we should reduce the dependence. By the way, we should strengthen it, but just also as well strengthen our position. Thank you.
Okay.
So to just add on to what he said, well, I wasn't saying that Africa as a whole should depend on itself, right? But if it happens within Africa, Rwanda is trading with Uganda, Uganda is trading with Tanzania, everything within Africa, I think there will be something tangible, something very strong that will be able to boost the African economies. That is, I cannot take my business to Uganda and then I'll be looking for dollars or European pounds to trade. No. If I take my Rwanda francs and take it to that of Kampala, I should be able to trade in that
country.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. We shouldn't just rely on dollars or Europe all of the time.
Okay. Quick question. Coming on the currencies, one of the common solution that came up to African scholars is that we have to put Africa together with the same currency. We have to use the same currency. That was the president of Libya was trying to do. Do you think it's a good idea to come up with the same currency within Africa?
Yeah,
so that we can trade?
Like for the economy, it's going to be great to have like the same currency. Let's just see how strong the euro is. Just because it's shared like within like all the European Union countries, and let's suppose if you have like the same currencies, even the trade is going to be like more efficient. The same amount of money that you need to buy something in Chad is the same amount of money that you need to buy something here in Rwanda. It's somehow also a way of uniting them. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I will say I'll give a little opposite view to that. That is, like I was saying, right? If I can take my Rwanda francs here in Rwanda, and then I travel to Tanzania, let me be able to use my Rwanda francs in Tanzania. I shouldn't go about changing it to the Tanzanian shillings. No, let me use it there. At least there can be some additional values to my money. Then we're going to change it in Tanzanian shillings before I can trade in Tanzania. So coming to having a one currency, well, like you said, it is good. But Africa should prioritize their own. That is, taking money from this African country to another African country, trading and making business in that same currency. They don't have to change it in dollars or they don't have to change it in pounds before they can trade in an African country. No. You can take your francs and go to Liberia and be able to do your business in France, in Liberia.
So you agree with what he just said? That we need to have our own currency?
Yes, we can have our own currency, but we can also use currency of each country, African country.
The existing currencies.
Yeah, existing currency in another country as well.
So do you guys really think that the African youth in general, we are losing faith in this Pan-Africanism? How do I say, ideology or idea? Do you guys think that we are losing faith in Pan-Africanism?
So we are not like typically like losing faith, but we are losing just patience because we the youth, we are somehow tired of multiple promises that are not like implemented, are not taken into consideration. Somehow we are not losing faith, we are just losing patience, and we want to see things going for the better than stay the same.
Okay, Mr. Thomas.
Yes, we are losing patience. We are not losing the faith. We have the idea. We have embraced the idea since 1960s. From our great leaders like Mohamed Gaddafi or Thomas Sangari, Patrick Lumumba, all those ideas, Kwame Nkrumah, the ideas has lived in us. So we are losing the patience because our African leaders are not implementing what it says when they go for that ECOWAS summit, the AU summit, the EAC summit. They just go have a lip speeches at the end. They don't implement those things that they agreed upon. So like he said, we are actually losing patience, but we are not losing the faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul, do you have something to say? You just came.
I just wanted to say good evening. Maybe I will engage after the questions come.
Okay, no problem. Okay. So the next question will be, what practical step can Africa take to make Pan-Africanism ideology evolve actually in Africa? What practical step, because we are talking only, but what practical step can we do to make it evolve in Africa?
Yeah, talking of the step, you've already somehow illustrated them along the discussion. So the first one is the visa policy, that we need to review it. And the second one is the economic aspect. We need also to strengthen this economic cooperation amongst African nations before to just be in relation, in partnership with out African countries though. So and even to stop those speeches and just go straight to actions. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Thomas?
So like I was saying, right, allowing our money or our currency to be used in an African country will help us to be able to hold on to the Pan-Africanism. Like you talk about the visa policies. If Africans can use their own currency within Africa, it will help to promote tourism, cultural exchange, and other business purposes. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Paul?
Thank you so much. So allow me to engage on what these guys have said. I just want to add on. So I'm a Christian, so allow me to use this perspective. So in Christianity, we read often that a house divided on its own shall not stand. So this is a very big statement. When you look at the genesis of the Bible, I think there's a time when people were united, and then I think what God did, because people were building, I think, a skyscraper that was entering heaven, he imparted to them different languages. So I think you then see that when people have certain things in common, they can go far. And I don't know, you may disapprove what I'm gonna say, but I think one of the reasons why Rwanda is succeeding on what it's doing, they have the one language in this country, which is a lot different from a lot of African countries. So I think the first speaker and the second speaker tried to mention these things. So one of them is unity. I think if you read the Bible very well, you will see what as humans, not as Africans, as humans, we can achieve when you have unity. So I believe other nations, other countries, continents, they've managed to have this unity. For example, the United States of America, you see. So I hear you was mentioning about Muammar Gaddafi, one of the visionaries who wanted to create the United States of Africa. So there are a lot of things we can do. So the practical parts of Pan-Africanism is not something we always have to talk about, but we have to see it in practice. Yeah, you understand? For example, if I'm happy in East Africa, they said by 2027 they might have the same currency. I'm not so sure about if it's going to happen, but we hope it's going to happen, because it will be a stepping stone for a lot of African countries to start implementing. Because as funny as it may seem, we don't have any currency that can be used as the currency of exchange anywhere in the world. With all the currencies we have in Africa, we only use the non-US dollars, the non-Kuwait, the non-dinari or something like that. Is it pound?
Pounds.
Euros, stuff like that. We don't have the one that is used as a medium of exchange. So I think it's something that is going to be achievable. Let's say the whole of Africa is going to use one currency. I don't think it's going to be deniable anywhere on the surface of Earth. So I feel like, yeah, for us to make Pan-African a reality, then we have to be united. I think unity is the word. Thank you.
So, Mr. Paul, I don't think that I've heard your opinion on what Pan-Africanism means to you. What does Pan-Africanism mean to you?
Okay, thank you for asking, because a lot of philosophers try to define it in a different way. But in my own words, I feel like, you know, it's the parts where, as an African, you tend to be a full African in its own sense. By that I mean, you have African at heart, you are willing to go by the African ideology. Because as a continent that was colonized, sometimes we are meant to think otherwise or to look down upon ourselves. So the Pan-African view, in my sense, comes in play when I see myself as a full human being, as a full African who is able to represent the continent. And I think patriotism should be the word next to Pan-Africanism in my own words, yeah.
So your colleagues said that Pan-Africanism to them is just words, but nothing of action is being made. So to them it's just promises and words made by the government, but nothing is being said. What do you think about that?
Honestly, my views on that one are it's a very light scope, because I feel like there are people who are not Africans who want us to think that way. And these are the same, very people who control media, because we don't own Facebook in Africa. We don't own Instagram, we don't own TikTok. So whatever we want to do, we see some of these things, they change the narratives. For example, at one time we received an icon by the name Speed, Aisho Speed. And when he came to Africa, he was shocked to see what Africa has. He thought it was just a bushy area where we are always hunting, trying to gather things, and it's, surprisingly to him, it saw the sense. So I feel like there is a long way into us trying to change the narratives for ourselves and also to make other people see. Because I feel like, at the other hand, there are some people who still want Africa to be viewed as a primitive society, as people who are not advancing, as people who don't know what computers is, you get. So I feel like, I don't know, the narratives, it's also our role to change. But before the narratives, let's change reality, like what we as Africans think, African to African. And then we go to the media. I think that way it will be easy. But when we have an African thinking otherwise, then I don't know. It's going to be a difficult thing for us to achieve.
But then again, this ideology or this idea of Pan-Africanism to you, do you think that it's failing?
It all depends.
Think that it's working?
Okay, sure. In my own definition now, I think it's working. That's why I said I'm already proud of some, blocs like the East African bloc, because they have already made mention that they are working towards achieving the same currency in East Africa. So once we have this happening, we already have some blocs, but we just have to make them, I think, more functional in their sense. Like, for example, the AU, it should be viewed as strong as the EU, like the European Union. So we have to stand for ourselves, not just think other people are greater. Yes, of course, if people are more wealthy than us, they can do a lot, but that doesn't mean you have to look down upon ourselves, because I think Africa is the most potential in this on the surface earth. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Another question concerning those solutions that all of you mentioned for making Pan-Africanism evolve in Africa. All of you are focusing on, open solutions, like solutions that concern the Africa as a whole, but not really focusing on the solutions that concern a single country within Africa. Because let's take, for example, that thing of removing visas. Before removing visas, a country has to make sure that maybe there is security in his own boundaries. And most of African countries doesn't have that security to allow other people to come. Let's say, for example, maybe in Chad, maybe you have some security problems there. Do you think it will be do you think it will be somehow fair to allow all Africans to come when you didn't resolve those security problems? And also concerning the unity within Africa, do you think that we can be unified as Africans, since we are also divided in our own boundaries, like a specific country? For example, in my country, in Gabon, we have 40 different tribes. Inside, we are not really connected first as Gabonese somehow. Or do you think we can first leave that stage of being connected as us in a specific country to be connected as African?
Thank you. It's a great question. So, talking of the security matter, as I've said, in the economic matter, so we cannot be, a country cannot stand alone. Even in the security matter, a country can never stand alone. If you have secured the borders on your side here and the other side were not secured, even you will feel threatened. So it's something of how it's going to be a cooperation, a regional cooperation. Once the borders are open, so the other one will bring some contribution, the other also will bring some contribution. So to make the place safe, that's how it's going to work. And the second one was about
the unity in Africa.
The unity in Africa. Yeah, this is a really great problem. Even in our country, we have like over 200 ethnic, like just 200. Those ethnic groups. 200, over 200. So, and the solution was what? It's simple. Like instead of just having those 200 ethnic groups, let's take the example of Rwanda here. All of them are united under what? Like one language. So that's a great thing. So you can also see, like in those regions, what is the most spoken language in those regions. Just bring people together with it and promote it as a national language.
Okay. He took the example of the Babel Tower in the Bible, like where people were speaking the same languages and they were going up, but when they started using different languages,
they separated.
Yes. So in a country, we have different languages. For instance, in Chad, in my country, and even in Rwanda, it has always been Kinyarwanda. But in different countries of Africa, we have different languages.
Yeah.
Do you think that the price of somehow evolution to Pan-Africanism relies on forgetting our traditions? Because if we come to one language, we are going to leave those other languages. We are not going to use them anymore. And as the tradition is an oral tradition, we are going to lose those traditions. So do you think we have to abandon those traditions to go to Pan-Africanism?
Not only that, I actually like your question very much. You said,
he
said something very interesting. He said, how can you unite a whole continent when even your own country, inside your own country, there's no unity? So
it's open to all of us.
So the unity can come like along the other one. The matter, as you said, like if you want to win something, you need to lose something like in return. So it's going to be something really hard to let like go of some cultures that already exist. But if it like it's the cost to pay like for the unity, it's worth it. So let's suppose, as I've told you, we are over 200 like in the country. Like in some region, we have some local languages who are most spoken in some region, and like most especially in the capital city, most of us like speak Arabic, and we are not all Arabic, so we speak Arabic. So we can adapt it as the national language that brings us all together, and then we may continue to speak our local languages. Why not?
Okay.
You are united. You are united. We're still having our.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so
we
we can be united in our own respective African countries if we promote the ideology of Pan-Africanism. So, talking about example within my country, Liberia. Liberia have 16 tribes, and out of that 16 tribes, our government have fought to make one tribe as our national language. They have to do with the Bele ethnic group. All right. So yeah. So there are not many of us who know how to speak the Bele. They started teaching the Bele in university. Yeah. So if that can happen, we are not going to forget about those tribes or those or ethnic groups within Liberia. No. Everyone will embrace their own tradition and culture, but they will hold one core that had to do with speaking the Bele language.
Okay.
But everyone will protect and uphold their culture within their own respective counties. Yeah, because we are divided into counties. We have 15 counties and 16 tribes. Yeah, so everyone will be able to work in line with their culture within their counties, but you have one language that has to do with the Bele language. Yeah. So like we have seen here in Rwanda, everyone speak one language, but have different
It's nice.
cultures. So if you're going to marry a Rwandan girl, you're going to see a different culture. You're going to see a different culture being portrayed. So that's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul.
Yeah, thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to commend you for the question. It's a very loaded question. And it's one of those questions I feel like it has to be presented to like presidents. And the reason is you see as it unfolds. And I also want to invite you to help me, gather the solutions, because sometimes just imagine myself as a president and what I could do to change Zimbabwe. And this is like, I study like trends in developing or countries that are already doing it, for example, Rwanda, which is why we are trying to give reasons about Rwanda and stuff. So yeah, hey, it's a loaded question, and I will start from what the other speaker was trying to speak about. African having the same languages. So it's something I think I brought about. And the reason why I brought it about is because I feel like it's a very important thing if people are able to speak one thing. So I think also maybe to kind of correct in my own sense the second speaker, the goal is not to remain with other subsidiary languages. The goal is just to have one. Because at the end of the day, sooner or later those subsidiaries will also want to fight to be the dominant ones. You get what I mean? So at the end of the day, I feel like you said, the first speaker, sometimes you lose. Actually, something I got when I got here, right now, when you are speaking, because I was thinking, how do you please the other one and then don't, displease the other one? And I feel like it made sense to say, you lose to gain. I think it kind of makes sense, because if you want to make a fair decision, it's not going to please the next person. At the same time, it's going to please the next person. So for us to have a common language, which is very important, because when I'm calling water in the eastern province, the one in the northern province has to call it water. Then I know what I'm going to distribute from this end to that end is still water. And I'm not going to be confused along the way. Which is why I feel like the European unions and everything, they always succeed, because what you do in Scotland is the same thing you do down in Wales and stuff like that. You get, so there's like the barriers that we have in Africa, they are removed. So now coming back to your question, like, if countries can be together with each other and stuff like that, I often want to use examples because I don't want to lose reality. I think we have countries like Rwanda right now. They are not in good terms with DRC. Whether we like it or not, they are not in good terms with Burundi. Of course, Burundi mentioned that 2 weeks ago, every African citizen can come to Burundi visa-free. I think Rwanda mentioned that earlier on. So I feel like even if there's a truth in what they are doing, I don't feel like the truth is still there. You get what I mean? Because when your very neighbor you are not in good alignment, then we don't think whatever you are going to achieve I feel like the statement that they say charity begins at home, it really makes sense, because you don't expect a violent father to be friendly to people just in the streets. You get? So at the end of the day, I don't know. That's why I said I will invite you to kind of engage. But I feel like if we are going to be true to ourselves, if you want things like integration to work, for example, you said other countries, they are afraid of, you mentioned some technical words, like, for example, let me just give an example. In Rwanda, we don't use plastics. They don't use plastics. So it's like there's an embargo on plastic. It means plastic importation in Rwanda is disallowed. So, which is maybe an opposite case in countries like Kenya, countries like Uganda, like neighboring countries. So how do we go about it? Which is a very good question, because at the end of the day, when I'm trying to grow the nation, we have our set of values. It's going to be very difficult for us to. So I feel like at the end of the day, to solve that problem, I know we are not going to solve it completely, but we should not lose the respect we have for the other nation. If that's maybe what culture should be about. If the culture in Rwanda, they don't use plastics, I should know when I'm traveling to Rwanda, let me not use plastics. But when I'm not coming back or going to another country, let me use plastics. So I feel like that's my response to that one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So before we wrap up this session, I'd like to hear, your last words on the topic of tonight. Like, what's the last message can you give to the African youth in general who are watching us? And, for take-home message, or for the government, what's the last message?
Okay, so my message will go to the youth, because we are the driving force of Africa's future. Yeah, according to research, we are like 60% when it comes to the youth in Africa. So if our government cannot implement those things that they have been saying, we ourselves, we can make it happen. So let's take, for example, the case in South Africa. South Africans are telling Africans to leave their country. That's not unity. If we embrace unity within Africa, Africa will be strong in every aspect of those things we have been fighting for. Because that's one of the things our great leaders have been fighting over the period of time, unity. So this entire discussion is just centered around unity. So if we Africans can unite and we can embrace an African within their country, I think that the Pan-Africanism will be something that will benefit each and every one of us. So we can make the difference by uniting. We can make the difference by driving innovations or cultural exchange and making sure that we Africans have those things the Westerners have. We cannot keep running to Westerners all of the time for loans, for this, for that. Our crude oil can be manufactured here. Our cocoa can be manufactured here, and we can do everything within Africa. But we have to be united.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Anyone?
Well, my message would go to both the government and the youth, because when we say Pan-Africanism is just speeches, we are not saying that we should stop like those speeches. We just want to say align the words with the actions. And yeah, we when we align the words with actions, like everything could be possible. Economically speaking, we are capable of being self-reliant, and in the security matters, well, we are not any less of a continent. We can defend ourselves, and the unity, like when the economy is united, the security is assured. The unity is something that can easily be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Paul.
Yeah, just in summary, I think I would say also, just like a father, I'm going to learn as a child, I'm going to learn from them. So the government is the father of the nation, or the representative. They have to, show us the way. Because if I grow up in violence, there's no way I will, try to understand peace. It's going to be difficult even if I want to. So at the end of the day, as youth, like you said, we are also planning to do great things, but sometimes we also need some, just a small tip to understand that, yeah, we can achieve these things. So we don't want to just learn the bad things. Please try to show us the way. And yeah, I think I don't want to preach on this one. Everyone knows what they have to do, and I'm sure those who are not doing anything, they really know that they are not doing anything. So we should just fill in our gaps. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, then it was a pleasure having you guys. Can you please clap for yourselves? Yeah, it's always nice, as I always say, it's always nice to hear the opinions of other people besides yourself, because some people think that their opinions are the only thing that matters. But truth be told, you really need to listen to what other people are saying to see and match it with what you think and see if it does make sense or not. So it's always nice having other people's opinions on certain topics and certain ideas. So it was a pleasure having you guys with us tonight.
It's a pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you, as always, my dear Melvin.
Thank you, dear Sangwa.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that we learned something tonight. I hope that we took something home tonight. Do you think that Pan-Africanism is a solution to Africa? If you think so, okay. And if you don't think so, maybe this is your time to evaluate and tell us what you think more. This show is usually put on YouTube, so if you want to see more of it, you can always leave a comment on our YouTube channel and tell us what you think about the topics that are being discussed every other night. Let's see each other the next Thursday, same hour, same place. It was Sangwa, the presentation. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.